talk a little Solana Mobile. It is apparently Seeker season, and early reviews for the Solana Seeker have come out. Nothing, groundbreaking here, but Seeker was more so designed to be an improvement on Saga, and that's exactly what they did. And now that they've done that, I have a deeper understanding of Solana's mobile division. Now, we have Emmett here, GM of Solana Mobile. He was on Paul's Real Vision podcast, and they were kind of going over, well, not kind of, they were going over the inspiration behind Seeker. Let's take a listen.
What was the coolest thing that you built on this? You went, you know what, that's pretty good. I'm quite proud of this.
Seed Vault Wallet is definitely the thing that I'm most proud of. So with Saga, we launched Seed Vault, which was an underlying technology. It was more of a protocol than a product. It provided a more secure way to store keys. With this phone, with Seeker, we took that a step further and we built Seed Vault Wallet. And our prompt in our heads the whole time was, Seed Vault on Saga was good, but it was too cumbersome. What if we made the Apple Pay equivalent for crypto, where connecting to apps and signing transactions felt like Apple Pay? What would that look like? And that was the prompt. And now I have a phone in hand and I can connect to an app and trade and stake. And it is like Apple Pay. I get a bottom sheet. I see the transaction. I double tap my power button. It takes my biometrics and the transaction is signed.
That right there. Cold wallets now have a lot of work to do, since we were talking about that. But this definitely changes the game for cold wallets and cold storage. On one hand, cold storage, with it supposed to be separated from the internet, it does raise concerns about the security of Seeker's, we'll say it, in-house wallet. But on the other hand, the Solana blockchain is the only blockchain, to my knowledge, with physical hardware. Okay? Yeah, people talk about how Bitcoin isn't owned by anybody, doesn't have a Twitter account, doesn't have a CEO, so forth and so on. But you still need an Apple, Google, TCL, Samsung, whatever brand you got, mobile device, in most cases, to access it, or a computer, Samsung, Microsoft, Apple, to access it. Solana is changing the game by being the network with its own hardware. Imagine, if you will, because I don't think a network like Ethereum or Avalanche with similar ecosystems, being the dApps, memes, layer 2s, NFTs, so forth and so on, I don't think they could do this because they're already stretched to the limit, which is possible in blockchain. Just take a look at Algorand's ecosystem, respectfully. But imagine if Ethereum came out with its own computer, its own desktop tower that had Ethereum as the operating system, or a laptop or a tablet that ran on Ethereum. Better example, Immutable X. What if they created a handheld that housed all of their games? That is what we're looking at here. And I also believe that that will be maybe 4 to 5 years from now. That'll be the next leg up for this industry, the hardware race. Gaming, they're already messing around with it. Players like Sui and their Sui Playtron 0x1. Reviews on that aren't sensational, but was it intended to be? What that showed is hardware can support blockchain independently. We're already accessing blockchain from our computers anyway. When we enter the hardware era for blockchain, boy, them prices are going to be out of control. Out of control. But here's a snapshot of the Solana mobile dApp ecosystem. And I get a lot of conclusions when I look at this, guys. You can see, for one, Helium Mobile comes built into the device. That's one example of a win-win situation that Solana is creating with this phone. Helium Mobile comes built in. So that means that anyone who buys a Seeker doesn't have to go to your traditional Metro, AT&T, Sprint phone carriers, Verizon. They don't have to go to those. They already have one built in. And Helium's mobile phone rates are cheap, and they're partnered with T-Mobile. So they're using T-Mobile's towers. On top of that, natively runs Brave browser, which used to pay you out in Brave token rewards. Not sure if they still do it, but if they do, now you got an income generating device. Let's keep going here. Connects to DPIN applications, which will absolutely activate the DPIN space. That is what was needed. Prior to now, DPIN was just all speculation. But what they were trying to develop were the devices to create the infrastructure. Seeker does that as well. Then we have Audius Music. Shout out to Audius. And Contentos.tv. This is, I wouldn't give them YouTube comp, but I'll definitely give them a Rumble comp. Okay? Contentos TV is the Rumble for blockchain. It was a asset that I thought originally ran on Cardano, but I discovered Contentos a few years ago. Very cheap asset. Haven't checked the price in forever. But I do remember the use case. They were the first ones that were really trying to tap streaming, live broadcast on blockchain. Also partnered with Theta Network, if I'm not mistaken. There's also growing variety of games you can see here, which kind of like the point I made about Immutable, if they were to get into the hardware side, now Solana has a hardware device to house all of their Web3 games, giving you direct access. So not only does the Seeker give Solana the hardware and create a direct-to-consumer route for their builders, but it also gives you a direct connection to DeFi, staking, gaming, AI, content and streaming. It's the hardware, folks. It is the hardware. And I believe that the networks who can blur the lines between digital and physical are going to be the ones that win.